Hello and welcome to day 2 of week 6 of split 1 of the 2020 OPL. My name is Nick Boy Richardson, and let me tell you, I love all of our esports players that walk through this building, but some of them are a shy bunch, and I cannot imagine how awkward it would have been for them when someone they've never met before behind a camera says, "Start dancing." Because dancing for those guys could be the worst thing at the best of times, let alone at those times. My fellow dance partners for the evening, Skimmy, Spawn, Rusty, I mean, we agree, right?
I would say you're also the most trained out of the lot of us in dancing.
True.
Yeah.
I don't dance at all.
First position right down here.
I literally don't dance at all.
You don't?
No. I was that kind of guy that was like, I would go out with Jenna and stuff, and I would just be like, catch me at the bar. Like, I ain't going anywhere near that.
But you've got this weird mix of, while being a grumpy bastard, you've also have a zest for life. And I would have thought that you would be a dancer. That would be that surprising thing about you. In the same way that you love to sing like Disney songs.
Oh no, I would rather get up in front of a nightclub full of people and sing than dance. 100%. Like, I have 2 left feet. Actually, I don't even have feet. I just have stumps at the end of my legs. And if I try to dance, I follow my face.
Yeah.
It's not a good experience for all. I convinced Jenna that dancing with her girlfriends or even other attractive men is a better alternative than dancing with me.
Skimmy, are you a Twinkle Toast?
I actually enjoy dancing. I just can't dance too well. I like to think I've got a good sense of rhythm, and if I'm out of town with the boys at the nightclub and the music comes on, we'll get our groove on. You know, I like to be a little bit of center of attention, but I'm probably looking like some really awkward white dude.
Yeah, see, he's the person that I talk about while I'm having my drink at the bar.
Yeah, you're the one.
Like, I'm a hype man.
Yeah, when
Like,
I people
if there's
watch.
some good music, I'm there. Like, I'm amongst it.
Yeah.
And if I probably watched my, if somebody's like recorded it or like Snapchat or whatever, and I'm looking back at it, I'm like, that's big cringe.
There you go.
Especially if you're a little bit hungover from all the orange
But
juice.
it's not right, because if you enjoy it,
Yeah.
like, go nuts. If I enjoyed dancing, I wouldn't care that I sucked at it.
Yeah.
I just get like out of breath, and like every part of it is just a bad time. You get sweaty. Who wants to get sweaty when they're out in public? Like, there's just only negatives,
knew a
in my
mate-
opinion, for dancing.
What?
I can't think of one positive, unless it is.
The joy.
I can't think. Yeah, but I don't enjoy it. So that's
No,
what I'm
the
saying.
joy it
Release.
gives other people.
So for me, no one else enjoys me dancing either.
I think
The only
all
good
of chat
dance scene
would.
ever is the Beauty and the Beast dance scene when Belle danced with the Beast. That makes me cry every time. Apart from that, I don't want to see dancing.
See, this is what I'm talking about. I don't understand this guy. One of his favorite scenes in the movie is from Beauty and the Beast.
I love Beauty and the Beast.
I hate to dance.
I love Beauty and the Beast so much.
Duo Cat says, is this a league stream?
No.
Someone mentioned before Rusty's uncle, ankles, not uncles. How many uncles do you have?
2.
Well, your ankles are looking skinny. I don't want you to get a complex. But I think I think that's a compliment.
Stop
No one wants
skipping
thick
ankle day, bro.
ankles, right?
It really depends, because they're attached to the calves, and that whole area looking skinny is an insult.
But by having skinny ankles,
Yeah.
wouldn't that make your calves look bigger?
Yeah, it's true. It's also the angle of this camera shot. Like, that does look like a really skinny ankle.
No,
I think,
lots of
It's
whoa.
also
guys-
he just has some freakishly skinny ankles.
Lots of guys aspire for the Dorito shape, like broad shoulders, skinny waist. Rusty aspires for the Dorito calf. Wide calf,
Yeah.
very skinny ankle.
I like
That's
it.
what he wants.
I like it. Well, welcome to day 2 of the OPL for week 6. Yesterday, filled with surprises.
Absolutely.
I would say there are a lot of games that we thought would just be paint by the numbers that turned
Oh,
out.
you were talking about the games. I thought you were talking about the fact that like rhinoceros meant one horn. Like
Yeah,
I
I
was
know.
surprised by that.
Yeah.
Like
that a sloth can poop out 1/3 of its body
Correct.
weight.
I didn't know that.
That
That's
3%
crazy.
of all the ice in Antarctica is made up of penguin urine.
Yeah, like all these things were fun surprises.
It's true. There are also games, unfortunately, but they were fun too, right? Have we got some more fun ones, or do you want me to give you more animal facts?
I mean, I can't say no to animal facts, so you've derailed my point there. But
Yeah.
I think the games will still be fun today, but I would still like animal facts.
Who's playing? Chief Star Wars play at some point?
Yeah, we got
fun games
Chiefs.
today.
In fact, that's a very good segue, Jake. Thank you very much. Let's get that schedule up. We've got Legacy versus Gravitas for game 1. Mammoth take on Chiefs for game 2. Pentanet.gg versus Gravitas returning for game 3, and then Chiefs make a reappearance for game 4 against Star Wars.
And people will be excited for that 4th game, but keep your eyes peeled for Mammoth in the 2nd one there as well, because the run has started once again for Mammoth.
So
You have to get excited. They're on a win streak.
Again, like me, they just do exercise on the weekends, and they start on the run. again this week. Who was it that stopped the run last time? Was it Legacy?
Yeah.
The next team they
And
faced.
then- yeah, true. And I think we interviewed Rays. Oh, maybe it was Babbitt.
It was Babbitt.
And it was just like he just couldn't give two shits about the storyline, and was
No,
just
absolutely
like, no,
not.
I'm happy for that to be over.
I think Game 3 is actually the one to watch about
Yeah.
because Pentiment have seemed to be struggling a little bit lately, and they started their woes by losing to Gravitas last time when Big Puma went absolutely bonkers on a vein. So
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to the Cub having another bit of a run at this team and seeing what he can do.
Maybe it's the Dorito ramp of the schedule. You know, it starts off small and it starts to get quite wide and big, and
We call that the rusty calf. That's
The rusty calf
the rusty
schedule.
legs of the schedule. Well, it's a while until we get to the pointy end of Rusty's calf. So there are 4 games of League of Legends today, but there's also a few segments of Nick Bag. So I need your questions. Please send them in about life, about love, about ankles, about anything to asknickboy@gmail.com. Oh my goodness, we love the Nick Bag. And we are very excited to get into it. And then, of course, this week it was World Wildlife Day.
Correct.
We've got to work on getting a new name for that because it's just a mouthful. Tuesday, March 3rd. So we are also going to celebrate, which I don't think I've told you guys, but we're just going to tier list zoo animals.
Oh, okay.
There you go.
Okay.
So everybody have a think.
you know how
about-
heated this is going to get after having our koala versus frog argument?
Yeah.
And that was about chocolate.
Yeah.
That's the ammunition.
So like, this is a whole nother level, right?
Yeah, this is about much bigger things you
Yes.
can eat. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can eat.
Yeah, have
My
you never had
God.
zebra? Oh my God, a delicacy, you're missing out. All right, let's not miss out on game number 1 though. Let's get that lineup up, please, for Legacy. Let's start off with the second best team in the OPL, Rusty.
It definitely is. Only lost 1 game to the Chiefs so far. Topoon in the top lane. Babbitt in jungle. Tally comes in undefeated as your mid laner. Rays and Isles in the bot lane. And Jensen, the mad scientist, bringing out the lane swaps for Legacy yesterday to a very good amount of success.
Yeah, absolutely. And I was having a chat to some of the boys upstairs, and they were saying that is a tactic that Quinny K was always a fan of, the Scion into the
Well,
lane
he's
swap.
not a top laner, is he?
Some early game aggression going on, and I think that Legacy did a lot of things at the start of that game right. The problem was their mid game, however, did not look all that clean. But that man on your screen, Tally, what a debut back into the OPL. 32% of his team's damage, I believe, that he was doing.
like
Was
it.
CSing at like 11 a minute.
Yeah.
He's a freak on the Victor.
He slipped back into the OPL like an old man into a sauna. It was just like he'd never left. In fact, it was better than he normally is at this point of the season.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Jimmy's known for the latter stages of the year and going very deep in the gauntlet, but was tending to nap a little bit during the OPL regular season. Obviously came out of his hibernation a little bit early this time to help out the Legacy lineup.
Well, let's see how he goes up against Gravitas. Skimmy, who are Gravitas today?
Well, it's going to be Pete's in the top lane. Praelis is our jungler. Seaman in the mid lane. Puma as the starting AD carry. And Trashley actually going to be playing as the support today with Coach Omo.
And how many players is that now? Is that 9?
I think that's close to every player that they have.
Incredible.
Because they have an army, a
Yeah.
horde, if you will. Like, the Urakai showed up to Helm's Deep against Gravitas and were outnumbered.
I was actually just about to say that there are more people in Gravitas than there were in the Lord of the Rings trilogy.
Really? Yes.
I have Gravitas goblins in my head now.
In fact, if the whole of
unfortunately,
Gravitas rocked up at Rivendell, Elrond wouldn't let like half of them go with the fellowship. There's just too many of them.
All right, that was just far too nerdy. It's time to get into something much cooler. It's time for professional competitive video games. It is game number 1, Legacy versus Gravitas, and it's coming at you with the Maker's Champ Select.
It's the very first game of the day as Gravitas face the uphill battle of taking on Legacy. Brand new roster once again, another version of it. A massive debut for the likes of Trashley to take on this powerhouse.
Yeah, absolutely. And when you have a look at this Legacy lineup, they have been showing more solid performances in the early game. I really do think that started with the Chiefs game. Despite losing it, they had that 5-man dive down in the bottom lane that really did get the series off on an aggressive footing. Skimmy, and that seems to be what they're going for lately. A little bit more action-packed, a little bit more dominance on display, a lot more fighting from this Legacy lineup. Did it backfire yesterday? At times, but the Baron was clean, and ultimately they picked up a much-needed dub over the Direwolves lineup.
Yeah, they'll be reeling at a loss, but they'll get another chance at the glory in the top of the ladder at the final game of today. But Legacy looking very, very rehearsed in the early stages of those games, as we saw them do the most beautiful Tribush invade, picking up 2 very early kills and allowing Sion to go toe-to-toe with the Camille. But how are they going to take on Gravitas? As we say, Gravitas, different bot lane, different version. They've flexed that bot lane heavily, even more so than what Avant has showed us.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think immediately we see something like the MF picked up. As soon as you see that, you expect aggression coming out of the bottom lane, so they go with a tempo jungler on the side of Legacy in the Olaf, as well as a very safe 80 carry. This sets up now very nicely for a 3rd pick Yuumi. So if I'm Gravitas, I'm probably going towards something like a Nautilus and trying to shut down that game plan immediately.
Wanting some heavy aggression. They're actually going to deny the Yuumi. That's a heads-up play by them, realizing and respecting the highlighted points that you mentioned with the Ezreal and the Olaf being so strong.
Yeah, and now this is a tricky situation, right? Because aggressive supports don't normally pair all that well with Ezreal, unless you're going something like, you know, Conqueror or something in the laning phase.
What are we thinking? Other options, what? Karma, Nami?
Well, Karma is good because she's just a shoving lane, right? So that gives a lane for Olaf to play through. When you're the quickest jungler, which Olaf is in this matchup, you just want some priority or some push, right? The ability to move first to be able to skirmish Echo in this river. So this lane right now should get prio, but I certainly think it does get out scale. In fact, if Legacy don't pick themselves up a pretty beefy top laner, I think overall their comp kind of falls off a little bit of a cliff after the 3rd item, Skimmy.
Well, the last time these two teams did battle, it was the Prayler show, quite honestly. It was him playing Lee Sin, him able to get pretty much all the kills on the game. They picked up 10 as a team, and 6 of them were on Prayler, and that's kind of the characteristics of the Gravitas lineup, right? He's the one that's trying to get this team online through damage himself. The complete opposite of Babbitt, who will definitely take a hit and allow his mid laner and 80 carry to lead those damage charts. But like, I will build items to make sure you can survive. That was a perfect example of it yesterday on Raze. Knight's Vow, Locket, everything to make sure that if he's in that Baron pit, he's got cleanse, utility, and he can get quads.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that when you have a look at Legacy, right, you have to kind of park draft composition a little bit, because you just have to look at the raw star power that's on the lineup. And, you know, if you rate that against the Gravitas members, they would need a serious advantage from this draft for me to ever be saying, you know, the Gravitas carries of Human and Puma are going to outperform Tally and Raze at 4 items, right? Despite champions. So I think that you raise a really good point. They do really protect Raze well. Game plan gives them a lot of scaling and would be a little bit of a Jimmy Shoot champion. Renekton, on the other hand, once again, that's more of what we were talking about. What does Olaf want? Push, the ability to win early, the ability to start stacking up Rift Heralds, Dragons, all those kinds of things. Aatrox are very much in that vein as well, and I mean, the Legacy lineup looks like they're going to continue the theme, Skimmy, of going towards the early game.
Going towards the early game, acquiring that lead, and then basically banking their resources on just sheer mechanics and sheer dominance in the fact that they are 10-1 in this league so far. They're second. And Akali is going to make a return in 10-4. Haven't seen her for a fair bit of time. He's also the new change in our ultimate where it's targeted. Be interesting to see how that comes into effect.
And a little bit of fire with fire here, Skimmy, because they go towards the Renekton, they pick up the Akali. I'm very curious whether this is Tally's Aatrox and whether they do have something for top lane. Tally, of course, historically is a top laner, so we would be able to play Aatrox mid very well. Obviously was on order last year. We roll swap Simon and Tally a lot. He can play mid lane like to a very high level, obviously why he was considered so early on as a substitute for this Legacy lineup. And we'll see right now whether they do grab... Oh!
Okay. We've got the Nautilus as well.
So they're going to play Karma mid. That's a spanner.
See how this all rotates around.
No, absolutely. That's a Nautilus support to counter out the Yuumi, and that's going to be Karma mid lane to nullify Scuman. I don't hate it. It certainly is a Tally champion. He's a very frustrating man. It gives them a second wave of push priority. So what I mean by that is obviously Nautilus is going to be able to tank a lot of Yuumi Soras early. That bottom lane should be able to push. Mid lane now definitely pushes. But once again, it is continuing the trend of, I don't think this is a great scaling composition from Legacy.
Yeah.
I think it, almost every champion on Gravitas at 3 items is better than their counterpart, with the exception of Renekton. So it really is going to be, what advantages they come into this in the early game, and how they use this Olaf and their bottom side of the map to accrue advantages. Because what we've seen in the OPL is if you get Drake number 1, Drake number 2, teams will really start sweating over Drake number 3 and Drake number 4. Right? They will fight against priority, against push, against vision control, against all of these things and take very bad fights. We actually saw that by Pentanet yesterday when Jarvan was just ulting and trying to secure any form of engage for those dragons. So I think that that's what this Legacy lineup can do. They can get pushed, they can get a couple of early dragons, they can really put Gravitas under that pressure cooker of the time response.
And look, I'm not opposed to it, because if we look at the statistics, Legacy are a team that, generally speaking, are up about 1,800 gold over their opponents by the 15-minute mark. You talk about Gravitas, they're the complete opposite. They're usually down by 2,000 gold. And they're also sacrificing a lot of those Drakes. So Legacy looking to try and go for this early game, looking to try and get an advantage, and then banking on raw mechanics. Jensen, have we hit the nail on the head with that idea there, or is there far more to break open out of that Pandora's box?
Well, in terms of like the scaling, I don't think we are that far behind. Yes, we have a Karma, we have a lot of early game champions, but we should still be able to match them because they went for the likes of Renekton and they went for the likes of Echo, who, if he doesn't snowball, doesn't really get very far ahead of the game as well. So I think if this goes late, I think we should still have an even footing. We have the range advantage for swords, and it's a question of Ezreal versus Yuumi over there.
And there's a lot of talk online that I see about OPL, that we're a really fan-out region. We don't do much level 1. Legacy seems to be becoming much more active. Is that something that you've picked up as a coach and you're trying to change with this lineup?
I think level 1's a very integral part of the game. Ever since I started coaching in Taiwan, it's a question of you need to think about, okay, do I want to be invading just to get a read as to what my opponents are doing, and all the way to what the European teams are doing. If you look at teams like Fnatic, they're always thinking about, mid jungle's a bottom matchup here. What are they doing level 1, and how can we possibly cheese a good flash from them? So that's something that I'm just taking from my experience and trying to apply to this region.
And obviously, yesterday's game was quite close, but you're able to clutch it out in that Baron play. Is it nice to be able to have that game plan of, at least I've always got Raze, at least now I've got Tally, these 2 late game powerhouses that will always come through in the team fight?
I think some people can call it close, but to me, I think it's within our game plan. It looked like we were taking a beating, people were getting picked off due to small mistakes, but we were doing what we drilled, how we moved around the map to just secure our power spikes. Once we hit that for those 2 items, we knew that we were going to win the game.
Now, bringing it back to the matchup in particular here against Gravitas, obviously a roster that are constantly flexing their members, Tragedy making his debut today. Does that really change the preparation against a team like them in particular?
It definitely does, and like I was even joking with Leonard, the coach of Gravitas, because we are friends, and I messaged him, yo, I can't find Tragedy and Beats solo queue accounts, and could you send them to me? Then he actually just straight up told me that, oh yeah, Beats doesn't really play solo queue, so it's not possible to scout them. And Tragedy has like a few accounts just scattered across Diamond, so I couldn't really get a good read as to what they are going to be playing based off what they're playing in solo queue.
So then what's your game plan for this game? What do you want your team to accomplish?
We actually had a different draft planned out, but the bans that we predicted were not exactly on point. We thought that they were going to very heavily focus Tally and try to use a weakened Tally and Suman, who seems to be the strongest player, to be their means of winning the game. They didn't really go with that. So we had to improvise our draft on the fly, and I think that we are kind of happy with what we ended up with. This is kind of like an Olaf raid-side draft, things that supported, and not looking too good for us now.
Isn't indeed, as Babba's going to fall on down as Protoss invades. Echo finding the love, maybe looking for a double kill. Tally is in trouble. Double kill to start things off with, and I want to bring it back to that point again about conditions of where Gravitas can flex it around. We've been quite vocal about Praelis being this driving charge in this team. Seeing it on a assassin that we've highlighted being his real strength. Do you think those 2 particular players in the team are where Gravitas have to really find love to try and beat you guys?
Definitely. I think Suman and Praelis, they are the 2 standout players on Gravitas in terms of their skill and their ladder rankings as well. They're the 2 highest on Gravitas. So if Gravitas are to find wins, they have to be able to play through mid jungle. We do see Suman going up to the top lane in this game. So they did find something in the mid lane, and I think that's rather impressive from Beats.
Beautiful. Well, thank you very much, Jensen. We'll crack on in with game number 1. It's Gravitas taking on Legacy in week number 6.
Always really nice to speak to Jensen. Obviously has
Man of many words. I love it.
Casting background as well, so very comfortable on camera. I got to remind Nick that he wants to come on, I think, next week, so I'll try and make that happen. But kind of talking about the Beats human swap here. It would be great if we could get it reflected on the scoreboard. But what they've tried to do is they've tried to get a couple of really key matchups secured. So Renekton obviously denies shields and mechanics is not talked about that much. And Suman should have a really good laning phase after level 6 against Aatrox. Aatrox is just not able to deny that all in unless he hits really nice Qs. So I think that both of these lanes being secured right now for Gravitas is super nice. And obviously Beats was their previous mid laner when nobody was on the starting lineup. So certainly should be very familiar with these kinds of matchups as well.
We'll be looking very intently on whether or not this 2-kill advantage they've netted themselves in the early stages of the game actually can account for anything. We highlight how strong Legacy are in their early department and how they've been as a team as a whole, especially with objectives thrown into the mix too. So another question begs, with those two key champions, those two key members, if they're able to utilize those advantages and put Legacy in the back foot.
And I'll be interested to see whether Suman actually completes the recall here. He doesn't. Wants to maintain this pressure because Beats was holding a freeze. So that meant that really there's no way for Suman to get ganked because you would expect jungler to be trying to help break that freeze. That's exactly what you saw. Babip shows mid lane. This is something that Babip's actually done a lot more in the OPL lately. Being willing to get involved in the mid lane. We saw a couple of weeks ago when Eminez was playing the Rumble and he was playing Olaf. He just chain ganked for Eminez. So I think that this is definitely a scoutable style coming out of Legacy right now, and Gravitas seem to have a very good read.
Definitely in the one that is displaying consistency over the weeks. To ensure that this man in the bottom lane for Legacy is able to do his job quite well.
Level 6 now achieved here. They're going to go for another game.
Always going to be quite difficult to get the Karma when she's got that movement speed to dodge the sphere.
However, what that has given them is a little bit of a push in the mid lane. Beats, although he's quite low, does have the ultimate available, so it should give them access to this top river with Human now level 6. This is where the Gravitas lineup really has to start shining.
Babip was considering the option. Does decide to recall in the end and try.
Babip's just done another really good job of protecting his lanes, right? We're talking about where are the volatile lanes for the Legacy lineup. Human hits that, Shuriken goes in.
Maybe an exchange of weapons in that little skirmish.
And what I was going to say is, you know, when you have a look at bottom lane, you expect that to be a winning lane for Legacy. And he's kind of ignored it to protect the solo lanes because he knows, you know, if you give this Echo another kill, if you give the solo lanes an advantage, the 1-3-1 going to be really annoying to deal with. So I really respect Babip's decision making this game. I think he's made the right call. He's still up in gold. He's going to use that bottom lane push to now get himself a dragon. Kind of, even despite the 2 early kills, doing exactly what we expected of the draft of Legacy right now.
Babisits the solo laners and banking on the success of his bottom lane to find priority and freely rotate towards that Infernal. Gets himself a scuttle as well. And finding momentum, presence and pressure everywhere.
Now we get to see kind of what the next move is, because 30 seconds until Rift Herald is available, Legacy being able to maintain complete control of the push in bottom lane means that they can decide whether they want to flip for Rift Herald or something like that, whether they send the Aatrox down into the bottom lane. That would be kind of the textbook play. The other thing you can do is maybe if he's a gank on the top lane or mid laner, Legacy can just continue to push in here down bottom lane, isolate this 2v2, and you know, maybe use a kill or something like that to be able to take it, then you have immediately able to swap. Oh, that's big damage onto Raze. Gotta watch for that one. But overall, I would say Legacy's game plan is doing really well at the moment. Top end might die.
Once again, focusing on towards Tally. You can see the reason why Beats fairly far ahead right now. A level up.
I'm really surprised that Human did not go for the all-in on Top Earn right there. They had vision on where Babip was. You can see he's constantly being pinged out, right? And then Human actually dodged out on 2 of the Qs. That means that he should have been able to win with Shroud underneath. Hold the phone.
Poke doesn't land, and now that allows this Rob to just come on in with big damage. The poke and the pressure.
Why did he not ult Isles there? Isles had no hook. Was kind of in no man's land. That was a perfect angle for Puma to be able to light him up.
Did he have enough mana? Was he maybe a few mana short?
Potentially could have been the case, Skimmy. But that looked like a very good all-in.
That would have been disastrous for Legacy, that's for sure. But once again, attention turns towards this top lane. You've highlighted how volatile it's been in the 1v1. Junglers constantly looking to try and aid them in the effort, but beats always by pushing in mid lane, free to rotate. I highlight my point from before. Up in levels, up in kills, up in CS. Tally resigned to his tower, losing a lot of it underneath.
And you can see that Babip really wants to check this Rift Herald. However, he cannot. Tally has just been under fire in the mid lane from beats. Constant priority has been achieved there. He's down 20 CS. He's lost his flash twice. Meanwhile, top lane, Human at any moment looks like he's going to all in and kill Topoon, despite the fact that Topoon has himself early magic resistance. So right there, they're able to do what I said. You know, they've equalized bottom lane, and it's not Babip finding the gank. It's kind of Gravitas maintaining their hold over the pressure on the top side of the map and allowing the Echo to solo out the Rift Herald. Now, the thing about Rift Herald is it does no damage to you, but it does take a very long time. So the problem with doing it like that is there is a large period of time which, if they know you're on it, that you don't have a jungler to arrive to these plays, right? But that was really well navigated by just ducking into fog of war. A couple of cheeky plays there for Gravitas members, and very well executed, Skip.
Looks to me as if Puma in his bot lane wished the reset. Once again, Preylis being very active on this map, has the Rift Herald in his pocket.
Just wants to chunk, I think.
Gonna bring Tapoon fairly down low.
They've got 3 members coming up here. This could honestly be the turret going down completely. If you get 2 plates, it just ends. Beats already popped ult.
Well, Dominus is online. The members are going to collapse on in. It's going to be Preylis that gets the shield. He tanks 1, he tanks 2. He chrono backs himself into the boys. And Tapoon falls down for the 3rd kill that Gravitas have achieved.
That could just be the turret, Skimmy, because if you take the first 2, then pop, and the next creep wave comes in, you can generally take this down 100-0, and that means Human is probably going to have himself a finished Gunblade at 11 minutes into the game. Don't know about Preylis sticking around for the gold, but obviously we've already talked about his importance on this lineup.
Yes.
And that is a major gold lead, 2,500 gold at 11 minutes right now to the Gravitas lineup.
This is very much unheard of for Gravitas, as we see how it all started on.
I mean, that's just so well done from Preylis. To predict the fact that Topoon's going to go back underneath that turret, beats, cuts off any kind of escape path, and the fact that the kill went over to Human is really just the icing of the cake. Having this much of an advantage on an Akali at this stage of the game, especially if you can give her the long lane, kind of means that Topoon's lane becomes a nightmare.
Gravitas are finding their magic in these first 10 minutes. Getting themselves a lead, and they need it, right? To go toe-to-toe against the likes of Legacy. Legacy very well known for their team fighting ability. They don't want to leave it to chance. They want to continue to build this lead up 15, 20 minutes in and see what skirmishes they can get as a reward for their efforts.
And I'm really interested to see how Legacy navigate this mid to latter stage of the game. Because you heard Jensen say he doesn't feel like his team gets outscaled because they went with Renekton. However, I just see a severe lack of damage coming out of anyone apart from Ezreal, really.
Yeah.
You know, they got counterpicked in the top lane matchup. It's not Topoon's fault that he's had to itemize defensively. He's gone with something like a Hex Drinker as his first item, right? But he's not a Black Cleaver, you know, already on his way to a death stance Aatrox at this stage of the game. Then you've got yourself a Cinderhold jungler. I prefer this build on Olaf. I think it gives you a lot more staying power in these team fights.
Yeah.
But definitely not like an Olaf Yuumi combo that's going to be running over the back line, right? So I just think that they have to really be careful of what windows they play around here. They will come online, you know, at Iceborne Gauntlet or Trinity pickup for the Ezreal. But until that stage, it is a very difficult mid-game to navigate, in my opinion.
Well, Beats is definitely finding the aggression all around the map. Ever since level 1, he's had a great time. It's leading out Tally. Tapoon flashing in with that teleport.
Topoon's dead, I think. Ooh, they don't go for it.
The mark was applied, but Simon deciding to show a little bit of discipline.
Yeah, and that's strange discipline, because I actually think it's misplaced, although now he wants Babip.
Babip's in a bit of trouble, forced to burn the flash, the dash with the ultimate coming across. Chucking out those shurikens, looking for the collapse, and he's going to get it. He doesn't find it in mid lane, but he doesn't make the same mistake twice. And Spawn, Gravitas is starting to run away with this game.
And Skimmy, this is why we talk about the fact that just give Suman an assassin.
Right.
Look how much more comfortable he is on these kinds of pickups. Gravitas himself highlighted the fact that maybe he was playing too selfless for his own good. Maybe he wasn't taking priority out of the draft. Well, this time around, they get him the matchup that he wants, and he just picks himself up a solo kill.
Something you guys on the desk have been begging for such a long time. We've seen the Lissandras, we've seen the Orianas, we've seen control mages galore. But now we get a window into the eyes of the man, the Assassin King, as he's been touted, and he's definitely off to a good start, sitting at 2-0 with a bounty on his head.
And I mean, at this stage of the game, you just can't go near the Akali. She is unrivaled in side lane threat. You would need something like an equally accelerated Renekton, or an equally accelerated maybe Aurelia, to even be able to go near this champion. Something like a LeBlanc as well, because she just has so much mobility built into her kit, and she does a lot of damage at the moment. The areas they hit were kind of her laning ability, because they really upped a lot of her energy cost. But now that they're through that part of the game, that's going to be all Gucci.
Gucci indeed, because they're living in luxury right now. 5-0.
Another little thing that I forgot to mention, which I actually very much like over the Gravitas lineup, is when you're playing a jungler that needs a lot of farm, that is an ability power jungler, like Echo. The fact that they've got two solo laners that don't necessarily need blue buff, although they have given it over to Human, meant that Praylis's first two clears were so greatly accelerated because he was able to take first and second blue. Potentially could have even taken third blue there, as he is 2,000 gold ahead of his counterpoint and actually the strongest person on Summoner's Rift. This just allows Praylis to kind of put the map on farm whenever he wants to by acquiring those blues. You can see right now Legacy have split the map deliberately away from Rift Herald. They know they can't fight the objective, might get themselves a turret here, but going to lose out on a neutral that might ultimately, in a couple of minutes' time, cost them mid lane turret. It is a good trade, because when you're behind, trading a gold objective for a neutral objective is always a positive skimmy. But I think that this is the first time I've really seen Legacy play a game from so far in the back foot, since maybe week 3 or so. I can't remember them falling behind. Even against the Chiefs, they were up in the early game, right? Until Croc started taking over in some of those team fights. This is definitely a new look.
And it's interesting how Gravitas have considered this matchup, given that they've, as you say, got leads in the top half of this map.
Well, they've definitely attacked Legacy's strengths in the early stages of the game. I think Topoon and Tally are probably their two best laners. We talk about it a lot. Raze is like a neutral laner. Doesn't necessarily look for kills, but all great balls.
That's a max range hook, going to instantly be followed up by the true shot barrage. Yuumi being oppressive. Yuumi going to keep them back and far away. Disengages as Puma goes for a bit of a Hail Mary with that bullet time and donates them a mid-turret.
See if there is any response here. Praylis is going to leap in.
He's going to have a lot of burst online. Got the proto belt completed. Instantly gets hooked back on in. Yuumi on top. Yuumi will not do enough to stop that. And Legacy take that. That's a gift, but this is what Akali can do. You say she can destroy. She rocks on up and says, put the cat on me. I will 1v3, finding a double kill in the mid lane to start off with. Legacy find advantages, instantly nullified.
And he's unstoppable at the moment. If you don't have the Nautilus ultimate, there is no one else on the team to slow him down. There's just a significant lack of CC, and as you mentioned, that was their window back in. Good news for Legacy fans. Raze got both the kills. He is now very greatly accelerated. The bad news is, Human's stronger. Take another look at this. Praylis was mere seconds away from getting his ulti off and being able to heal up all of that damage. That fight would have definitely gone in their favor. And Raze had to burn both the summoner spells, and as you mentioned, I mean, Akali with the Space Cat on it. What more oppressive combo can you think of? Just a very nice team fight pickup there for the Gravitas lineup after it looked like Legacy had finally found a window back into this game.
Before that, Puma and Raze were even in gold, and it almost felt like Legacy were banking on the fact that, well, we know Raze is so good at team fighting, so let's look for a team fight once we've got those two items on, potentially that third luxury. Let's consider these Baron fights, these Dragon Soul point contents, but Gravitas aren't giving them that option. They're definitely utilizing the advantages and respecting the fact that, look, our Akali is so damn strong right now. We're fighting.
Well, it's not just Akali, right? You can see what Tally has to do. Tally has to be there as a second support for Raze. Whereas Beats right now, he's going to live in a side lane. So they got the mid lane turret. That's the first step to being able to regain control of this map. But every single time Tally goes to a side lane, to have to deal with this Renekton, it just opens up a window for Praylis, Crashly, and Puma to be able to make another play. Herald should destroy this turret. It's going to be all three outer turrets down. Gravitas still maintaining nearly a 4,500 gold lead right now.
The front line of Legacy getting shredded by the completed Black Cleaver on this Renekton. Going to be very, very squishy. The meat shields to support the protection we've talked about being the crux component of Legacy is being given a run for its money so far.
Also, interesting to note, Tally's gone with a full damage build. He recognizes the only person that is a magic damage on his team, so he has to build for a little bit of AP. This isn't the full support coming out on the Karma. Also, maybe the right call, because I'm thinking, you know, do you want an Athene's as well as a item that makes your AD carry attack quicker?
Oh, Ardent Sensor.
Ardent Sensor on an Ezreal? Maybe not, right? He's more of that spell weaving AD carry.
Of course.
So maybe you just want the huge shields that come from maybe a Death Cap and the powerful nukes that can come from the Karma Qs if she has something like a Death Cap Void Staff combo as well. So respect the itemization call here, but just important to note, this is definitely not going to be the similar supportive Karma that we've seen in the OPL before.
He's going to stick to kind of like what Legacy's identity was for the first 5 weeks of having a very carry-focused style. So not going to veer away from that identity too much. Not going to try and change the script just now.
And look at Babip. Babip does a lot of things that maybe gets slept on, right? He's 0-3-1, but just a little hover for Talida to be able to get that lane out. Now the fact that they cross River as a duo, right? Playing through the side lane to get some form of control back around this dragon. It really is the little things in League of Legends that kind of allow the team to be able to re-establish some form of game plan. Definitely taking away those 2 control lane wards, getting side lane pushed in was the first step for Legacy to maybe be able to contest Dragon number 4 in this game.
I think it's very easy just to read the stats and look at Legacy's Babip and say, look, you know, he's not really doing that much damage, he's not really taking that much of the gold. But that is their funnel style.
And I mean, there's only so much gold on Summoner's Rift, right? And who would you want to give it to? Like a Raze, an Eminez in the past, a Topoon? Babip is probably 4 on that list of people that you need to give gold to, right?
Yeah.
And you can see that they were trying to give that Raptor camp over to the carries. They are trying to get, you know, maybe Topoon in a situation where he can contest with Human in the side lane. And the only way you do that is by giving up some of the gold on your jungler. Human goes over.
He's going to proc for that Gunblade. He's hovering. Topoon definitely able to respect that. Now he has that Black Cleaver online, but it's not going to matter because the fight takes place at that camp. Instantly 2 members being deleted. Double support gone.
And this is a disaster. Baron has just spawned, and they've lost arguably both their space-checking tools there. Really only Topoon, who is on the other side of the map, can get anywhere near this play, and they don't even want anything to do with it. They're just trying to look for a pick onto the Akali right now, see if they generate it in the mid lane. Does not look like it's going to be the case. Baron going to go across to Gravitas at 22 minutes into this game, Skimmy.
Gravitas, a new idea completely on this game. This is not what we've seen from them in the past. No stretch of imagination. They drop on down to Mammoth. And now they're bringing it to Legacy. Now this could be massive. They can pick up this bounty. The True Shot Barrage goes, well, somewhere else. But they're going to get the flash for the flash! Oh, Raze! That's why we love you. He's a sniper with those skill shots.
And the perfect player maybe saves his team from disaster, because this was going to be Baron into Soul Point. We take a look, just a bit of a face check. He's not all that tanky, even though he has got the Cinderhulk. We spoke about it already. His own team is denying him a lot of gold at the moment. Also, don't love the Hex Drinker. I'll talk about why in just a second. Legacy looking for another trap. Not going for this wave, however, is maybe a trap in itself, Skimmy, because their base could be broken here. And 9 seconds on Human, who does have teleport.
Legacy fully banking.
Oh,
on Gravitas being a little bit too overconfident, which they are, because they fall victim to the invade.
Teleport coming in, though.
The Drake is up. Soul Point potentially available.
Renekton on a huge flank.
Beats is there. He gets the stun towards Raze. Raze has got no cleanse, no chance, no ability to carry this team fight. Brayless finds a second, and Isles is swiftly going to fall on down too. They are looking for blood, and as soon as Raze is gone, there is no damage to respond.
And the continual chase nets them even more summoner spells. Now with 3 members dead, the base will be broken in the mid lane. The third dragon will be taken. And despite all the good work they did, Legacy still just not strong enough to fight in that 5v5.
This is a beautiful performance so far coming out of Gravitas. If they can sustain this, it would shake this league up completely. 8k gold difference right now. They can turn their attention to pick up the third Drake. And they've bullied the other members of Legacy so hard that it really is all on Raze right now to try and make something happen, but his teammates just fall aground.
Oh, Tally, do not face check this brush. Oh, Human not going to go for it. Maybe a little bit of rare discipline shown from the Gravitas mid laner, now top laner in this game.
Bit of rare discipline. There was no vision around the jungle, potentially thinking I don't want to do it, but let's see how this fight really exploded. Beautiful catch on towards Raze.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think that Ray's getting chunked out here. Oh, hold the thought. Tally now caught out again.
Hang on a minute. The discipline, it's 1-2. He does it every single time. He goes, I'm going to kill this guy. Actually, no, I'm going to do it this time.
He is so strong, Skimmy. No one can go near him at this point in time. He's forced 3 Hex Drinkers out. I want to talk about Babbitt's Hex Drinker a little bit. When you build Cinderhulk, obviously augments other HP items. Hex Drinker's strength is in the fact that it gives you a shield.
Yeah.
Now, that's not going to synergize well with the Cinderhulk passive at all. And also, you have Tally there already to give you these repeat shields, right? So health and resistances are much better. Raincoat in this situation going to be nearly equal gold, but it's going to give you much better tank stats for Babip right now. Certainly think he should be running with the full tank combo. Although in saying that, when you're 10,000 gold down at only 25 minutes, itemization nitpicking, maybe not the most fun thing to do, but it's certainly something to point out there for the viewers.
Yeah, the Akali has the most gold in the game right now. And multiple members are in the 10k gold region, nearly 4. Compare that to just the single of Raze, and that's why I'm saying the narrative right now really is, it has to be the Raze show. He's got to put these boys in his back and say, do something, do anything. If I can live, there is a sliver of hope.
I mean, we saw yesterday a 5-level gap between jungle and jungle. Well, right now there is a 4-level gap. Praelis is about to do it in a carry versus tank jungle matchup again. And the solo laners are 6 levels up. Babip looks at someone in this game and he dies.
16 Renekton versus a level 11 Nautilus. The engage with those hooks going to be non-existent. Going to die before we can actually emit any form of pressure. And Gravitas right now, they rule the map. This map belongs to them.
And they've done a really good job of bouncing waves, right? Well, you have a look at this full shift that's just come out. Tally going to try and clear out the wave. But what they've done, Skimmy, is they've pushed in top lane, made sure someone has to deal with that.
Yeah.
Pushed in mid lane, rotated Human to that wave, and now they're going to commit onto this bottom lane turret. That's actually some very good macro. It means every single person at each stage is very safe within these steps. And Gravitas showing one more time, and I've said this, despite the sometimes skill gap in some of these players, they're a well-coached lineup. You know that they're very comfortable with the compositions they played.
Yes.
That's a good full shift down. They've pushed out all 3 waves. They're going to get into a full reset 2 minutes before Soul. So if they can move back into all of that control, if they can shift up on Summoner's Rift again, they're going to be in a situation to take away an Ocean Soul versus merely a poke composition. I'm calling it. They get this next Dragon. That's lights out. I don't know if there's a way Legacy can win.
Yeah, with Ocean Soul online, it's going to be pretty gross to say the least. This is what Legacy have done in the past. They've tried to play the vision game, set up gank parties, and hope that is a condition that they can bank on. Yes, we can see Akali going from the reset, coming to top lane. That's why Legacy are here. They're looking for a repeat shutdown.
Okay, but what do they have? They have 4 members heading up here. They also have themselves a teleport available on their Renekton. So if they don't kill someone instantly here, Gravitas just wipe them.
Gravitas are looking around. Legacy have spent so much time here. They're forced to back away. Only now the Akali shows face. That hurts. A lot of time lost.
I mean, but they couldn't really be doing anything else, right? Waves are still pushing into them. They already cleared out all the vision in their jungle, so I think that's the correct call. Look for a cheeky pick. However, now, no vision on Baron. Going to be started up again.
It's going to be a tall order for Babip to steal this one away with a 3-level difference on the smite. 40 seconds The Ocean Drake is up.
I love this as well from Gravitas. That's one way to get control of bottom side of the map. Make them come to Baron, lose no health, shift the whole team up there, then take complete control of bottom side, maybe even a pick onto Topoon here.
Unheard of. Absolutely mesmerizing stuff from Gravitas so
Get the
far.
ult.
And quite honestly, you know, there were questions about, you know, with a massive roster like this, would there be that consistency? Would there be that discipline to play when you're changing out things like components, like spare parts, this time, that time, every different time? Well, it's working so far because Legacy are falling on down. Babbitt and Isles forced to disengage away. The Redemption won't do anything for that. They need Redemption because Akali's just destroying this team. Bullet time into a choke! And that might be lights out. Double kill to start things off with. Gravitas are hunting for more. Topoon is gone down. That's a triple. Baron, Dragon, it doesn't matter. They could look to try and end.
They certainly can. Through the top lane, through the mid lane, it does not matter. Raze is trying his best, but it is just not enough. The inhibitor is broken. 3 members still dead. Gravitas might have done it.
This may be the biggest upset we've seen in the OPL this split so far. They're going for it right now, Spawn. They're working their ways to Fultz, the first turret, but it's that man again. It's that lifeline you've always seen. Raze still giving you a reason to believe.
And you can see they are furiously pinging out that dragon. Gravitas went to the end. It gives a window now for Legacy to be able to take that away. However, maybe this opens up the Baron again.
True shot barrage.
They haven't
won't be
even
online.
thought about it, Skimmy.
They think that Gravitas have just gone for the reset. They're picking up the Ocean Drake to deny them the Ocean Soul. But Gravitas say, we don't care, you have that. We're going to go for the Baron. Then we're going to repeat the fight again.
All right, teleport's coming in. They've finally cottoned on that something is up. 2,000 health left. They're going to get off the objective.
There's no Echo, there's no Smite. They discipline themselves, leaving the Baron at 2k. Looks like Legacy want to try and ninja this one away, down to 5k. Still no Praylist. It's going to be a 4v5. They're looking for this one as bullet time comes across down to 1,000. The damage is there. Olaf does pick it up. That's Baron for them. But do they have the damage now to make anything happen with this? Akali finds one. Raze needs the protection, Human. Zonias does a lot of work. Buying himself some time. Raze is very low on that mana. Finds the fruit, finds the damage, finds the choke. He snipes him like a needle in the haystack of Legacy. How do they do this every single time, Spawn?
I mean, Raze is just insane, Skimmy. The amount of DPS that is coming out of this player right now is bloody nuts. They get the Baron, they get themselves the Dragon. It's still an 8,000 gold lead, but somehow Legacy hold on.
I have no idea how to comprehend this right now. And now it's a true testament of grit right now for Gravitas. Can they close this out?
And look how low Babbitt and Raze were in the back of that pit. If Gravitas had just gone seconds earlier, Skimmy, they would have had a good fight. Very nice stopwatch there. And I think they kind of went onto the wrong members because Raze is just still safely hitting. I feel like if the Ezreal right now isn't under pressure, you're maybe just not going to be able to win it. If he had to land that WQ as well, it would have been another kill going down. And the perfect player strikes again.
He sure does. Gravitas in a situation now where they are still massively ahead. Let's not forget that. They're still on Soul Point. Yes, they lost the Baron. There's no Echo to contest. But Raze given a situation, given a fight, where he is free to roam the map. Due to damage, taking the high grounds. Gravitas, do they have what it takes to close out this game?
Then you have to start questioning a little bit of itemization here, right? You can see Deathcap going for Human, but you have a look how much magic resistance is picked up. That should certainly be a Void Staff. Human also takes a lot of damage from Raze there, and you can see that he's just pumping it out like you would not believe.
Lanes are pushed out. It's looking good right now for Legacy to rotate through. They're going to start in this top lane to cancel out those super minions. If they can find a fight here, they may just be able to turn this game on its head.
Absolutely. Who would have thought that right now they would be bringing it back within 5,000 gold? That is just shows the class of this Legacy lineup. This is why they are a finals contender. Trailers looking.
The emotions in this one right now. Anxiety, stress, excitement, everything you could want to see. Bullet time on top of Redemption. That's going to start things off quite nicely. But Raze is gone. Is that Legacy gone as well? Akali finds the double. Akali does the job. The respawn time is far too long right now, and they're going to be staggered as well. Tally manages to disengage. Nautilus survives. but 2 supports defending a base against 4 members, it's just not going to be enough.
Okay, death time is only 20 seconds. I don't think they can end the game here against Skimmy. What they can do is open up another inhibitor, maybe take it down. That gives Gravitas even more control over this map.
Uma was very far away. Does prevent that condition, but as you say, opening up the second component of this Legacy base. Legacy wish they had the Yuumi because they are playing with 9 lives.
Yeah, absolutely at the moment. I mean, I cannot believe how much of a knife edge this game has been on. Every single time it looks like Gravitas are down and out, you know, their base was being pushed here. They just get a miracle engage. And this does not go perfectly. Preylis blown up without his ult being used, but as we keep mentioning, you have to deal with both of the assassins. As soon as you ult Preylis, Human has free roam over Summoner's Rift. You give him the Yuumi, and he is just way too strong. That's going to be a death cap picked up. And oh my goodness. That is bonkers.
Death cap is there. He's gone full carry potential, but he hasn't gone for the ability to break that resistance. The Moore is online for Raze. Gonna give himself, what, around about 80 magic resist?
2 super creeps in the top lane still. Topoon doesn't have TP. As soon as he shows, that should be called out. And that means this next dragon, this Soul, should go over to the Gravitas lineup. Now, it's not a 26-minute Soul, so right now, it's not the biggest deal. Souls, when they're picked up early in the game, certainly a little bit more potent. However, is still a good advantage for the Gravitas lineup to have.
There's no healing cut for Legacy if they were to choose this fight, however. It's going to start off right now. Preylis is on there. Olaf! It's Babip again! Would you believe it? He steals away the Drake.
And they get a kill.
Legacy full disengage mode. I've done my job. I am the support. I'm 1-9, but I get Barons. I get Drakes. But Telly, he just gets deleted. Double assassins. They look for Raze. He has to run. He finds one. He does. Sumino, what does he have in his arsenal? The bullet time coming on out. Legacy's Isle falling on down. Raze with double buff. Raze with a chance to clutch things out.
How does a jungler that is 4 levels down enter a dragon pit and steal away the soul?
It beats me every single time. Babip just blows expectations.
And now, once again, Babip is up earlier than what Preylis is, so they can't technically start this Baron on spawn in case that he's the person that arrives there first. Skimmy, this game is craziness.
It's ridiculous.
We're approaching 6 items. Gold starting to not matter. Dragons, dead even. They're
Really
a Baron apiece. How is this game still going? Okay, so Beats goes onto the back line, zones away the entirety of the team, and on a one-man solo mission through all of the damage in the game, that is going to be the hero Babbitt picking it up. But Preylis says, you know what, enough is enough. Shield is off cooldown, Tally gets 1 hit, and once again, doesn't get a chance to use his ultimate. Should be coming out right here. Does not press the button. If he had up, that would have been game over. Because you can see how much pressure Human can put on with the cat. So all Preylis has to do there is live. Little bit too greedy again. It will cost them.
They're looking for a fight right now. Ace explodes straight into Ron. Ragnarok instantly used to give himself some movement speed and disengage. That's going to be a very aggressive depth charge on towards Akali, but he goes gold and True Shot Barrage comes out. He gets very low, but Yumi's there to top him up.
Teleport.
There's a little bit of healing cut right now. He gets the shot down. This could be good. Babip is dead though, so there's no smite. I don't think Baron is what we're even considering right now. The hook goes out onto Beast. They look to try and connect onto him. Is the damage there? Raze is free in the back line. Redemption tops them up. They've got to consider that top lane has been pushed on in. Potential inhibitor to fall on down and taking us to the dance quite nicely here. Tapoon having to respond and recall back.
And remember, the jungler is dead. So with top lane pushing, with mid lane pushing, with seeing everyone recall, this should technically be a free Baron.
What do they have online right now? No ultimates, fully reliant on Tapoon. He has teleport, he has flash. He has the world ender.
And once again, they pull off because there are creeps in the base. Super creeps about to start hitting the last remaining Nexus turret. Legacy, we're on a timer right now. They're still going for it. Human has teleport available.
They don't have 2 left feet because they're dancing this one very well so far. Baron down to half.
Praelis is so low.
Keep an eye on where Raze is. The sphere comes down. A deep teleport coming in from Beats. Looking to try and get the flank on that. Baron is gone. There is no chance to contest it. We're entering Direwolf versus Pentanet territory, where objectives are down to the wire. Both teams threatening to pick up this final one. Both teams having a chance within the next 90 seconds to set up and smite up.
Okay, let's take stock. Both inhibitors back up and available. So this isn't going to come down to any fancy wave shenanigans. If you look at what Legacy have to push through, kind of 4 turrets if they go through the mid lane, and mid lane turret is very, very low. So that's maybe decisively 1 team fight or 2 very scrappy team fights. At this point in time, Gravitas need to sneeze on that last base turret. It will fall down. They will win the game.
Akali working towards that Void Staff now, nearly full itemization. Raze, as you'd expect, he's there. This inhibitor will live for the meantime.
Okay, that's going to be Steric's pop.
Steric's pop very early on.
And you can see that they're going to struggle here. Beat has no flash, can't get in.
How do they set this situation up? Praelis receiving the heal. The cat's on him. He gets so much damage on. Instantly forced to burn that recall out. Ragnarok turns on.
Oh, Raze is so low.
Babip is a big tanky boy. Full itemization in that regard. Raze has to be so clean and so careful. He's been that one sole survivor. The one reason to smile. 2 inhibitors gone right now. The fight is looking to try and take place. Golden shields come out. Disengage is there.
Puma's
So
nearly
much
dead.
hesitation, so much tension, so much stress. They want to force this one out. The AoE collapse. They look for it. Bullet time disengaged. Puma gets the first kill. They're looking to try and find another. Raze is gone. That could be it for Gravitas. 40 minutes in, from start to finish, they have commanded this game.
They don't have teleports. They need to be able to heal up a little bit here, Skimmy. It's still on a knife's edge, but Tally is oomed.
The Nexus turret is going to fall on down. It's an open Nexus. It is what they're looking for. They find another kill. They find the Nexus. They find the upset. Gravitas will do it, and they will dethrone your second place team.
And look, Skimmy, it wasn't Legacy at full strength. But this Legacy was still good enough to beat 3rd place Direwolves yesterday, and Gravitas come in and make the upset of the split happen.
Unreal. Absolutely unreal from start to finish. The execution, the strategy of bullying out this solo enders, allowing them to get online, banking on the fact that Raze is a team fighter, and now you want to have a team around him to do the job. He put up a commendable performance. But these boys on your screen right now, hats off to you.
Absolutely. What a performance. What a win for the Gravitas lineup. Remember, this is only the first of 2 games they're playing today. And to take down 2nd place Legacy and hand them only their 2nd defeat is a massive statement.
Very massive statement. And we look forward to seeing them in their follow-up game today. But that does it for us. The massive roster get a massive victory as we throw it back to the couch.
That's a lot of Gravitas. That victory screen is insane. I mean, I'm laughing because we barely ever see it. So when it does come up, my goodness, what a game from Gravitas.
Yeah, didn't expect to see it come up in this game. I don't think you look at this team and say, even with Tally subbing in on the other side, that they'll get the win. Not with the form we saw of Gravitas last week. It felt like they had started to really lose the plot, to be honest with you, where Mammoth were picking it up. But, I mean, here we are.
I love the idea of a bunch of people who just tune in at the end and they're like, well, of course Gravitas win. There's like 30 people on that
There's
team.
too many of them to lose.
I mean, where do you start with this one? Because as you said, not something we were expecting. Big shake-up I mean, not so much ladder implications, but more energy and confidence implications.
Yeah, it felt like at the start of the game, and a lot of Gravitas does still revolve around Praelis. It felt like anytime I looked at the screen, he was ganking somewhere, or being proactive somewhere, taking a Raptor camp and being pressured on the map, and pressuring Legacy most importantly. And I think that the way the game started is it hit that one point where eventually it pays off for him and it goes positively for Gravitas, but he doesn't stop doing that. He stays aggressive, and they start getting advantages in places where they really needed it. And that, to me, is a part mastery on the champions that they were playing. You know, it's Human playing Akali, and it's Echo for Praelus, very well known on both of those champions. Human has always been the assassin, and even on the nerfed Akali, puts on an absolute clinic and shows what he's still capable of. So they got the leads in the right places, and suddenly the game, it felt like it just started to really work for them.
Unfortunately, we are unable to interview Gravitas as we normally would for the winners, so we can't ask them as well. Like you said, they've got 2 games today, the second one up against PGG. Are PGG feeling shook by that win? Is that a confidence knock against them?
I think in terms of like the style of both of those teams, this is an interesting game because Gravitas got an early lead and snowballed it, and Pentanet.gg are notoriously slow if they fall behind. And so this is actually the type of victory that, you know, is only positive for Gravitas going into their the third game of today, their second game against Pentanet. Yeah.
Does Tally get fired? Because he doubled their loss rate.
He wasn't 1 in 10.
That's true. He wasn't 1 in 10. I mean, for Legacy, they're still doing fine. That, you know, Direwolves are nipping at their heels, but it's not too bad. But I'm loving the fact that mid-split we're seeing Mammoth, we're seeing Gravitas. I mean, these teams that we have gone, you know, pretty poor performances generally for the first quarter, the first third of the split. Upstairs, you turned to me at one point and said, who's the worst team in the league now?
Yeah, and I think that's an interesting conversation. You know, if the improvement continues, if Mammoth somehow make their run there against Chiefs in the second game of today, we don't really know then who the bottom of the ladder is, and we start to hit that parity with every team starting to, like, maybe the top's coming down, maybe the bottom's rising, and it meets in the middle. It does, you know, start to raise those questions we don't know the answer to.
And there is just something so pure about a team who have been through some struggles. When they get these wins, just seeing how excited they are. I mean, it just puts a smile on your face. Something else to put a smile on your face, it's Nick Bag, and it's coming up after this.
That's a gift, but this is what Akali can do. You say she can destroy. She rocks on up and says, put the cat on me. I will 1v3, finding a double kill in the mid lane to start off with. Beats is there, he gets the start towards Raze. Raze has got no cleanse, no chance, no ability to carry this team fight. Praelus finds a second, and Isles is swiftly going to fall on down too. They're looking for this one as bullet time comes across down to 1,000. The damage is there. Olaf does pick it up. That's Baron for them. But do they have the damage now to make anything happen with this? Akali finds one. Raze needs the protection, Human. Raze is very low on that mana. Finds the fruit, finds the damage, finds the choke. He snipes him like a needle in the haystack of Legacy. Anxiety, stress, excitement, everything you could want to see. Bullet time on top of Redemption. That's going to start things off quite nicely. But Raze is gone. Is that Legacy gone as well? They look for it. Bullet time disengaged. Prima gets the first kill. They're looking to try and find another. Raze is gone. That could be it for Gravitas. The Nexus turret is going to fall on down. It's an open Nexus. It is what they're looking for. They find another kill. They find the Nexus. They find the upset. Gravitas will do it.
That's how you want to play it.
Feeling the heat? Grab a pineapple or pineberry frozen Fanta mix at Macca's. With 36 flavours, it's the largest range in Australia. Grab one for only $1. A little goes a long way at Macca's.
Clinging to the promises of life, reborn up on the roof of this world.